afternoon, 1:02 p.m. on Sunday, September 6th, 2020 in Sarasota, Florida. Not a lot of time left on the camera, 100% impulsive to pull the camera out. It is in the almost 8 years now that I've been officially my own company. At this point in any given year, from January to early September, even in my slower years, I would have had at least a half dozen to a dozen videos of me in person that I had up on my YouTube channel. The fact that I think I've only, in terms of publicly, what I've released publicly of recordings done in 2020 that have been beyond the audio is on one hand. I've done a few that I have not uploaded, and I think those might be the only 2 or 3. Like 2 or 3 videos, and we're almost at the end of the year. And among other things, I am in a moment of admittedly overwhelming, nuanced emotion, meaning there's absolutely nobody, no human being in my life right now that is close enough to me at a deep enough level, this nuanced level. There's nobody that can really fully appreciate even one aspect. And maybe I've got one individual that can maybe appreciate 1 or 2 of the aspects of what, like in this moment, I am processing and feeling. And that for me is a relatively new thing. To still sit with what feels uncomfortable and be with that. Like, why is it uncomfortable for me to be alone with these deep feelings? And they're not necessarily bad. They're just, it's heavy. There's a lot. And it's very nuanced in a way most people just don't experience reality in the way that I do. Or at least most people that I'm physically sharing life with or have thus far. And I am longing for that sort of sharing. So that's part of the uncomfortableness, is my tendency to give more focus in the present moment on what is not yet present that I want so badly. And in this case, yeah, you know, I would love to have somebody in my life, even just one somebody, who could just kind of be with me on a day like this, you know, and just really like be able to be with me. And just kind of almost without me saying anything, know me well enough kind of to know where I'm at. And you know, I still will maintain that for a lot of people, they experience this, I think, intimacy with at least one member of an immediate family, if they come from, you know, what we would label a more normal, healthier family background. And that's not an accident that there's this huge family energy, because that's one of the most enormous things that represent my reality right now, is a very close familial relationship dynamic that took me places in many ways this year that I had not gone, darker, and I, you know, I've seen plenty of dark of my own, and I've been on the periphery and shared with others with their dark. And you know, if I can help it, I really want to be living as much in the light, but it's not about the dark is necessary. And I don't want it to go completely away. I don't think that's intended anytime soon on this planet, you know, as we transition from really a very dark time to an emerging time of light right now, I'm glad there's going to be a transition, you know, because again, that dark, the opposites really do help define one another. And, you know, but this is hard, what I'm going through. It's literally attempting to keep myself on a timeline of my life that I've not, you know, a version of my life, if you will. And I say it and talk about it as a timeline because time is a big concept that is one I think I'm supposed to also begin talking more openly about and weaving into my work. The fact that linear time is human created, and that's not really how time exists, and it really doesn't exist as we know it as humans. And you know, and part of the speeding up of time right now, and everything folding into one another, and you know, all these dimensions and perceptions being real at once. It's time is definitely something that is going to be fun to play with, but in terms of keeping it simple right now, you know, I had a very sad story in my heart, really sad, from pretty much 14 years old, 8th grade, till 35. There were definitely some times of light, for sure, during that time, but they were short, nothing long-lasting. When I say short, I mean, you know, maybe a good day, a good week. I don't know that there were not good years. 7th and 8th grade were the last back-to-back years prior to my awakening, prior to 35 years old, where I had that good of a stretch. You know, 96 was a solid year in some ways, and then 97, I started to lose it again. I went back crawling into my safe hole. And I don't want to be in that safe hole. I want to continue to evolve as Allison and be a greater version of myself every day. And but that's new, allowing myself to pursue my life in that way. It's new, it's unpracticed. But I know this is the version I want to be. But most of that version has not had a chance yet to experience a reflection. Like, what does that version of Allison out in the world look like? The closest has been, or the one that's allowed the most of me, the greater me, to come through, has been Iron Man. But it's been more at a frequency than any sort of specific. You know, my specific role, my specific responsibilities, I mean, in some way, yeah, actually, no. Actually, the Iron Man gig, the only thing that was missing from it is being able to do it and support myself, which I definitely couldn't. So doing that job with all the other jobs, it was just so intense to juggle that much energy. But really, aspects of the Iron Man, you know, certainly were using the best of me. But the biggest problem I had, and there were a couple, and the ones I had are big, is one, the model that I'm serving. You know, I'm serving this, and in that world, clearly about the dollar. Like, hard not to see that, or to try to focus my attention elsewhere. And secondly, for a structure, yeah, I'm not a full-timer, but, you know, I had put years in. Definitely, there's so much turnover at this company that I definitely, along with many other contractors, many more than me, had so much more time invested in this company, yet, you know, just completely disregarded by the not just the very tippy top of the pyramid, but a lot of the tiers, you know, just below that, like that top big chunk of who is getting all the money, and that just doesn't vibe with me. And so I knew that it was only a matter of time before I would have to move on, because I just, not trying to be goody-goody, but I cannot compromise I hate compromising my principles. And It's why I've had such a challenging life. And I'm not trying to have these high principles to be some goody-goody, you know, goody two-shoes. Not at all. You know, just trying to, you know, swear, be the best version of me and take everybody, you know, never at the expense of somebody else, ever. I don't want to be in a system that is this, you know, literally you're climbing on top of people to get you are. Whether you're aware of it or not, that's the way that game is played. And even if you aren't directly, you're serving a model where that's definitely allowed and rewarded, you know? And it's just, I'm just feeling, I know I want to check this. I don't need, the camera might already be out. Not yet. Okay. All right. Whew. I just, the first 12 episodes for the podcast, you know, whew, what an achievement for me. And that's part of it. I mean, I didn't even know it till I'm just talking right now because I'm just trying to talk in the moment. Actually, okay, there's only a little time. Really what I wanted to drop this morning are just all these little just pieces that likely I'm the only one that will know what they are, but perhaps there's just something that said turn the camera on. So more flowers that I thought at first maybe he spelled out a message or tried. Like my ex, as long as I'm in Sarasota, that is going to be a challenge for me, has been leaving flowers. I've not seen him in person in over a year. We've been broken up almost 2 years. It was very, very hard. And only recently have I really stopped having any sort of thought that we have any sort of future. I mean, no, no. I mean, he would have to be a totally different person, really. But he left an immense array of flowers in my yard this morning. What he'd been doing is only here and there, once every maybe 2-3 weeks, leaving them around my mailbox. And this morning they're like literally all the way down my front lawn. So, yeah, I have feelings about that. I can't describe them simply or easily, but I have feelings about that. My brother, youngest brother, who was the main reason, the only reason I even ended up in Sarasota, left Sarasota, probably for good. Certainly for the foreseeable future on Wednesday, this past Wednesday. And I have a lot of feelings about that and what caused this departure. And again, some of the darkest, hardest things I have felt, certainly since my awakening, where I have a much better ability to recognize and kind of control to some degree. Not that I want to control my feelings, but I can control how long I stay mired in them. So I'm much quicker at processing the shitty stuff and, you know, knowing that it could very well rear its head again in a different relationship, in a different circumstance, or maybe it's something I've, you know, finally resolved. It doesn't matter, but I move through it, you know, quickly, and I don't look